Captain Hiran of the Trikar Collective squinted through the viewport at the small blue planet below. He had studied countless worlds before, but this one seemed particularly dull. Earth, they called it. A world devoid of meaningful energy signatures, no real source of magic. As the Collective's ancient records called it, it was precisely why the High Council had selected it for conquest. A planet full of weak, primitive life forms was the perfect candidate to expand the Trikar's domain. Hiran stood tall, his obsidian armor gleaming under the soft lights of the command center. "Report," he ordered, his voice cold and detached. Vizran, the intelligence officer, bowed slightly. "As expected, no significant defenses, Captain. The most populated region of the planet is vulnerable. There are no signs of sophisticated energy barriers or magical concentrations. Just rudimentary technology, their largest nation being called the United States." Interesting, Hiran mused, though he hardly expected anything else. And the population? Billions, but unarmed, mostly civilians. A few military installations, but nothing that poses a threat to our forces. "Perfect," Hiran said, a thin smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Begin the invasion. Send the ultimatum to their leaders. Inform them that resistance is futile." As the command to invade was given, Hiran imagined the scene below, humans scrambling in fear, their primitive weapons no match for the Trikar's superior firepower. Soon, Earth would be under his heel, and its people would serve the Collective. After all, this wasn't their first conquest. Far from it. On the surface, in the Pentagon's war room, General Marcus Thorne stared at the strange transmission that had just been broadcast across the globe. An enormous, armored figure, identified only as Captain Hiran, had appeared on every major news channel, demanding the surrender of Earth. Thorne rubbed his temples, already feeling the weight of what was to come. "Get me satellite feeds on those ships. I want every detail." "They're massive, sir," his aide said, showing live footage of the colossal alien warships descending toward Earth. "What do we do?" Thorne looked at the display, knowing full well that humanity had faced impossible odds before. He stood tall, an aura of calm determination radiating from him. "We fight," he said simply. "Get every available unit ready. The world isn't bowing down today." The Trikar expected fear. What they were about to get was defiance. The skies over Earth darkened as the alien warships pierced through the atmosphere. The massive triangular ships hovered ominously over major cities, casting long shadows over the landscape. Captain Hiran watched from his flagship, satisfied with how smoothly the operation was unfolding. He could see tiny figures, humans, gathering below in confused masses, many of them armed with their primitive projectile weapons. It was almost laughable. "Prepare to deploy ground forces," Hiran commanded, eager to see these creatures up close. Back on Earth, General Marcus Thorne surveyed the situation. Reports were coming in from all over the world: London, Tokyo, New York, and Beijing. The aliens had targeted major population centers, but they had made a critical mistake. Earth's defenses weren't as primitive as they thought. "Deploy the drones," Marcus ordered. "Activate the electromagnetic shields." Across the globe, cutting-edge defense systems that had been developed in secret over the years roared to life. High-speed drones equipped with AI intelligence flew in formation, and missile defense systems locked onto the descending alien ships. The Trikar soldiers, confident in their advanced technology, began their ground assault. Dozens of armored aliens touched down, their energy shields glowing faintly as they moved to take control of key locations. But the resistance was far stronger than they had anticipated. Without warning, electromagnetic pulses rippled across the battlefield, knocking out many of the aliens' systems. Their shields flickered and failed as they were met with a hailstorm of human gunfire and drone strikes. Captain Hiran, still aboard his ship, frowned as he watched the battle unfold. "What is happening down there?" he growled, his tone darkening. "The humans are resisting far more effectively than expected," Captain, Vizran said, his voice quivering with unease. They're weapons. They're not as primitive as we thought. Harren's frown deepened. Impossible. This world is devoid of true energy. Their defenses should have crumbled by now. But the humans weren't crumbling. They were fighting back, hard. The initial assault had not gone as planned. Captain Hiran stared at the battle map, where red indicators, representing human forces, continued to resist in unexpected ways. His pride stung at the thought of losing to such a backwater planet. Their use of electromagnetic weaponry, it's disrupting our shields, Vizran explained, nervously wringing his hands. And their drones are more advanced than we anticipated. Hiran scowled. How could our intelligence be so flawed? This world should have been easy to conquer. So, we underestimated their technological ingenuity, Vizran admitted. They're using tactics we haven't encountered before. On Earth, General Marcus Thorne paced the command center. The reports were promising. The aliens were stronger and more advanced, but they hadn't counted on human adaptability. Marcus knew they had to keep the momentum going. Send a message to our scientists, Marcus said. We need to exploit their weaknesses. If they rely so heavily on energy shields, we need to keep hitting them with EMPs and disrupt their comms. As the battles raged on, human engineers worked around the clock, reverse engineering captured alien tech. They discovered the aliens' fatal flaw, over-reliance on outdated methods of energy detection. While the Trikar had conquered countless worlds based on superior magic, their technology hadn't evolved to account for more mundane but equally deadly human innovations. In the skies above New York, the pivotal battle was unfolding. Alien warships deployed more troops, but they were met with coordinated missile strikes and advanced stealth drones. The humans had learned quickly, and their countermeasures were devastating. Hiran, now desperate, sent out waves of reinforcements, but it was becoming clear. The humans were adapting faster than the Trikar could anticipate. Captain Hiran's frustration had reached its peak. The once confident leader of the Trikar collective now stood with clenched fists as he watched yet another wave of his troops be decimated by the humans. The humans, who should have been easily conquered, were not only fighting back, they were winning. How is this possible? Hiran growled, glaring at Vizran, whose normally calm demeanor was now shaken. We've crushed civilizations far more advanced than this. What have we overlooked? Vizran, scrambling for answers, stammered, Their technology, Captain. It's evolved in ways our intelligence didn't account for. Their weapons, they don't rely on magic or energy in the way we expected. They use kinetic force, pure metal projectiles moving at incredible speeds. Our shields weren't designed to handle that. Hiran turned back to the display, where his forces were being forced to retreat for the first time. This is unacceptable. The collective does not fail. His voice lowered to a menacing tone. We will crush them, no matter the cost. Back on Earth, General Marcus Thorne stood before a gathered assembly of world leaders. For the first time in modern history, Earth was united against a common enemy. The flags of all nations hung behind him as he spoke to the people of Earth. They came here thinking we would kneel, Marcus began, his voice firm. But humanity does not kneel. We stand, we fight, and we prevail. Today, we have shown them that Earth is not just a planet they can conquer. It is our home, and we will protect it with everything we've got. Cheers erupted around the room, but Marcus knew the fight wasn't over yet. The aliens had pulled back, but they hadn't left. They were regrouping, and Marcus was certain they would come back stronger. He turned to his advisors. We need to strike before they have a chance to recover, Marcus said. We've already reverse-engineered some of their tech. Let's use it to our advantage. Begin preparations for a counteroffensive. The scientists and engineers, working tirelessly, had managed to replicate some of the alien technology, adapting it to fit human needs. This was the key to turning the tide. With newly developed EMP weapons and anti-gravity systems, they would take the fight to the aliens, this time on their terms. Captain Elena Cruz stood on the deck of the newly christened Indomitable, Earth's first warship equipped with reverse-engineered alien technology. The ship hummed with power, its sleek design a hybrid of human ingenuity and alien tech. This was the beginning of a new era in warfare. "Are you ready, Captain?" came the voice of Asher Kim, the brilliant hacker who had played a pivotal role in deciphering the alien systems. Elena nodded, gripping the controls. "Ready as I'll ever be. Let's show these invaders what humans are capable of." The Indomitable led a fleet of similarly equipped ships, rising into the atmosphere to meet the Trikar in space. This time, humanity was taking the fight to them. Meanwhile, Captain Hiran prepared for the final showdown aboard his flagship. His once impenetrable fleet had been reduced to a fraction of its former strength, and morale among his troops was faltering. They had never encountered resistance like this before. Hiran stood tall, masking his doubt with the arrogance that had carried him through countless conquests. "Deploy the giants," he ordered, referring to the massive war machines that had only been used in the most dire of battles. "They will break the humans once and for all." As the battle in space intensified, Elena's fleet weaved between the alien ships with remarkable agility. The new anti-gravity systems allowed human ships to maneuver in ways that baffled the Trikar. On the ground, human forces pushed forward with renewed vigor. Tanks equipped with electromagnetic pulse cannons rolled across battlefields, disabling alien war machines with precision strikes. Drones hovered in formation, launching calculated assaults on the enemy. The coordinated human counterattack was relentless. Elena's Indomitable broke through the alien blockade and docked onto the side of Hiran's flagship. She led a squad of elite soldiers and Asher, who would work to disable the ship's systems from the inside. They were met with fierce resistance from the alien guards, but the human team pressed forward, using their superior tactics and adaptability to overcome the opposition. Inside the heart of the alien flagship, Asher hacked into the ship's core, disabling the weapons systems. Hiran, watching helplessly as his ship lost power, realized the truth. He had underestimated these humans. They weren't just resourceful, they were relentless. Captain Hiran, backed into a corner, could feel the weight of his failure pressing down on him. He had led countless invasions, conquered world after world for the Trikar Collective, and yet here he was, on the verge of defeat by a species he had considered beneath him. The remaining Trikar forces scrambled in disarray as human ships encircled their last stronghold. The Indomitable had crippled the alien flagship, leaving Hiran with few options. On Earth, General Marcus Thorne received the news with a grim smile. "We're close," he said to his team. "Prepare for the final push. Let's end this." The human forces, emboldened by their victories, launched a final assault on the remaining alien warships. In space, Captain Elena Cruz led the charge, her fleet overwhelming the Trikar with precision strikes. On the ground, human soldiers fought valiantly, pushing the aliens out of every city, town, and battlefield. Hiran, standing on the bridge of his ship, watched in horror as the last of his forces were obliterated. His pride, the one thing that had always guided him, now felt like a curse. He had underestimated the humans, and now he was paying the price. In a last-ditch effort, Hiran activated the self-destruct mechanism on his ship, hoping to take the humans down with him. But Asher, having anticipated the move, quickly disabled the sequence. "It's over," Elena said as she entered the bridge, her weapon trained on Hiran. "You've lost." Hiran looked at the human captain with a mixture of rage and disbelief. How? How did your kind defeat us?" Elena's gaze was steely. "You underestimated us. You thought we were weak because we don't rely on magic or your kind of technology. But you forgot one thing." "And what's that?" Hiran spat. Elena smiled, her eyes fierce. "We're human. We adapt. We overcome. And we never give up." With that, Hiran's fate was sealed. The Trikar forces were defeated, and Earth stood victorious. Back on Earth, the world celebrated. People from every nation rejoiced in the triumph of humanity over an overwhelming threat. The planet, once divided by borders and politics, had come together in the face of annihilation, and they had won. General Marcus Thorne stood before the gathered crowd, his voice ringing with pride. "This is our victory," he said, "not just for one nation, but for all of humanity. Today, we've shown the universe what it means to be human. To fight, to persevere, and to rise above every challenge." As Earth celebrated, one thing was clear: the Trikar Collective had made a grave mistake, and now the galaxy knew humans were not to be underestimated. The story of Earth's defiance would echo through the stars for generations to come.